Welcome back. Oh, all right, there we go. Halito, everybody. Welcome back. This is CT over the NYC Indian, and today we're going to be reviewing 90 Day Fiancé the other way. I enjoyed last night's episode. I thought it was so good. I thought it was so freaking good. So we're going to start off the episode with Debbie and Osama. So Debbie, oh God, Debbie, her and Osama were giving this episode. So she goes, she wakes up, it's the next day, they're rolling up their bedding and stuff like that, and they live kind of, I guess it seems to be, modern-ish. I mean, I guess whatever, it seems kind of normal for where they're at. I don't know. It's not like as fancy as the hotel, right? But it seems like it just doesn't seem that abnormal. But to her, it seems so foreign, right? So she was like, "Oh my God, I don't know what I was gonna do with that toilet and that shower is an act of God just to be able. Oh, you got to use a garden hose in the shower. Oh God, I just didn't know what to do." It was so funny. I swear, you thought she was going to like fall into the toilet or something. Girlfriend could not hack the Moroccan accommodations. That shit was hysterical. Oh my God, that was so freaking funny. So then she goes and she greets, good morning to Osama's father and his sister. So they're sitting there on the couch. And remember, the sister speaks English, limited, but she speaks English, right? And the father, she presents the father with this gift, like this paint set. And that was such a kind gift. I think that was a very, very warm gesture. And then the father's like, "Oh, thank you so much. That's so kind." And, he's feeling all good because she's giving him this paint set that he wanted, but he didn't get for himself. And then he's like, "I just want to thank you so much for taking my son to America." She's like, "Skrrr!" You could just hear the wheels just like screeching to a halt. And she's like, "Wait a minute, I'm staying right here. I brought all my stuff and this is a permanent kind of situation." And all of a sudden, his sister is sitting there like, her whole affect just changed, right? And then she goes in Arabic, she's like, "I thought you said that, like we said growing up that we weren't going to stay here. Like, like in other words, what's her old ass doing here unless you plan on, getting something out of it?" And she was like, "Hold on, I need to clarify here just a minute." And, Debbie, one thing about Debbie, she does speak up and she speaks her mind. I do like that about her. But it's like, Debbie, girl, I mean, I don't know what the hell you were thinking, all right? Now, I gave you a pass because you're kind of kooky and crazy, and that's just right up my alley. And, as a fellow artist, I can understand, the kind of idiosyncrasies and like just being kind of a different person, right? I'm a fellow sister in that, in that world. But what did you think? I mean, did you really, really think that this guy was gonna just at least not get a green? I mean, like what? I don't know what she was thinking. I don't know what she was thinking. So anyway, we move on over to Jen and Rishi. So they're still at the restaurant. She's still upset from last week where he told her that after some tooth pulling that his parents had been looking for someone for not just quite a while or a couple of years, but that they've already introduced, not in person, but they presented him, I guess, with pictures. He didn't say exactly how these women were presented to him, but I'm assuming that they sent, they gave him pictures. Here's a girl from this village and here's a girl from that village or something along those lines. And she's really upset about that because she feels like he's even further along or his parents are further along in the matchmaking process than what she assumed, thinking that he was going to be able to choose his own partner. So she ran out. Her friends go to console her and stuff. And they're just like, I just don't think Rishi really even just gets the full, like, I mean, I don't think he's a bad guy, but he's just not like, I don't know. "Oh, good morning. How are you?" Debbie is the best. Susan, was she not giving last night, Susan? Girl, she was giving. This was a good Debbie episode. I'm so glad you joined me, Susan. Thank you. So, oh my God. So anyway, now we move on over to Gabe. So Gabe is back in Florida and he's meeting up with his mom and his sister, and he breaks the news that he's getting engaged. So they're, somewhat pessimistic, but I think it's because they know Gabe, and I think Gabe is kind of teeter-totters with different stuff, right? I do believe that they honestly know that about their brother slash son, right? And And he's just trying to say, like, I didn't tell you guys because I thought, you would automatically try to criticize me or something, but this is serious and everything. So he did wind up getting their blessing, and they said that they're happy for him, but you can tell there's still a little bit of a like, because, he's like, yeah, I'm getting married, like, in a few weeks. And they're like, what? So he did, get his paperwork situation worked out, which was really good. I'm very, very glad of that. So it seems like he got over all the big hurdles that he needed to, which was having her, first of all, proposing and her accepting, asking the family for their acceptance, asking the father for her hand in marriage. He, got all his paperwork done. He's told his family. So now it seems like all systems are a go. And it also seems like that business of his, his mom kept saying he's had that business for years and years and years, because her concern is, are you going to get a prenup? What's going on? And, is she going to be able to take all your money if things don't work out? Because they know Gabe. So they're like, oh, this is definitely not going to work out. The mom's like, he always goes with the ones that are clingy and jealous, and he's like, oh, and then even Gabe said, I always go find the ones that never want to work and stuff like that. But I think Isabel is perfect for him. I really do. I think she's amazing. I just feel that Gabe is really going to have to do like a boot camp to really get up to speed with being a parent, because that's just something he's not used to. And I feel like he's still kind of young. I mean, he's just a little bit on the immature side. So I feel like that's going to take a little bit, but not impossible. He has a good heart to me, has good intentions. So, he gets a little bit in his head sometimes. And I think a part of that, from what I'm seeing anyway, from what he's presenting, is from his past and not being accepted. Like, he didn't even tell his friend, his American friend that lives in Colombia, all that time that he's known him, who he's playing basketball with, that he was trans, right? So I think it's just that constant feeling, and I'm not speaking for trans people, I'm just saying based off of what he said, it feels like what I'm getting from what he's saying is like every time he meets someone, he doesn't know necessarily if he should reveal it, and that's a very personal thing, right? So I mean, so those type of anxieties, but that I still think if he gets his, keeps his head on straight and he stays focused, I think that they could become a very successful family. So anyway, after that, we see who was after Gabe? Oh, Nicole. So Nicole is back in Morocco, right? And she's going out shopping with Fatima, her sister-in-law, who immigrated from China to Morocco to be with Mahmoud's brother. That's her sister-in-law. And she's talking about the differences and like, the language and like, how did you adjust and how was this different for you and stuff like that. And, and I feel like for Fatima, it may have been even, I mean, I don't know if it was harder, but just as hard because, she's coming from China. So it's not, I mean, and Fatima speaks just a little bit of English, right? So I think it's more common for, people in China, if they speak another language, would maybe be more, English. There's, a lot of people, do business and stuff that speak English in China versus speaking Arabic. So she had to learn Arabic, right? To go from Chinese to Arabic. So, I mean, I could definitely see the linguistic as well as like extreme cultural differences. So Fatima, I don't know how she did it. And remember, Fatima was, laughing and giggling about wearing the headscarf, and she was like, I really don't like it. I was like, girl, then take it off. But, who am I? So, and then Nicole says that she's thinking about ditching her friend Nuran because Nuran is, was too aggressive towards Mahmoud. But, he needs to be challenged, right? Because if he's going to be with a Western woman, he needs to have some of those hard questions asked. I don't think she was being rude. I think she was being realistic. What does Susan say? That was one shopping experience. I'm telling you. And I mean, with the chickens and the goats and the everything. And she was like, oh my God, I can't even, this is too much. I think she's just, even besides like the whole, female, like, how women are treated and the region, as Nuran was educating us on, the region that he lives in is even more religiously conservative and stuff like that. All that aside, just I think the sights and the sounds and the, lack of social interaction, I think is too much, right? So she tells her sister-in-law, she's like, look, I'm going back. I can't, you know what, look. She's like, darling, I've had enough. You can keep your chickens and your headscarves and your scuba diving bathing suits. I'm out of here. So Fatima's like, really? Like, are you sure you don't want to like give it a year or two first? And she's like, I can't do it. And this is, time number 2 for her. And I've been up Nicole's ass the entire time. Like, girl, why did you go there? Da 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 da, But listen, if she's just working on an exit strategy, that's all I can focus on right now. Hindsight is 2020. I'm not gonna say, why didn't you do your research? Why do you? That was for the beginning of the season. We're like mid-season now. It's just too much to even focus on that. Just focus on getting the hell out of there. So then, and of course she wants to take Mahmoud with her, right? So now we're back at Jen and Rishi. So her and her friends are planning to go to, because she spoke to Rishi. Jen spoke to Rishi. And Jen and her 2 friends are going to go to Rishi's house and speak with Rishi's parents. But what he does not know is that her friends plan on spilling all the engagement tea to the parents. And she's like, well, I don't know how he's going to feel about this. And I was like, who gives a shit? Look. He's had this woman dangling on a string for 3 years. She spent how much money and moved her whole life over after she didn't even check to see how long the visa was to keep her here. And now she's got to wait for the astrologer and everything else. I said, oh my God, this is too much. This is too much. So I really don't care if they spill the tea or not. And she decides to get a translator. So they get this translator coming in, and she's real pretty too. And Jen's like, oh wow, she's beautiful. And I know Jen's like, uh-oh, right? Are the parents going to want her to get married to him or something like that? And I'm like, Jen, don't worry about that. I don't know if it quite works like that. They probably have very specific things that they want, and it's got to be from this area, or maybe it's got to be from this caste or whatever. It's like strict little things. It's not like just any old Indian woman, right? I wouldn't be so concerned with that. But now Jen is, Jen's like, okay, so the translator's like, so do you want me to translate everything word for word? And she's like, yes, I want to know everything. And the translator at the end is like, oh, I didn't know. I mean, I thought I was just going to be like, doing a couple of words or something like that, some documents, some letters, but you have me over here on a reality show. Don't you all fight on reality shows in America? Like, what's going on? I don't know. I may have to up my price for this. It may not be worth it. So anyway, now Danielle, we see Danielle. So Danielle, oof, honey, listen, this was getting good. Now, this was getting juicy. So she meets up with the ex, right? And this boy, I'm going to say it like they say it outside, this boy, he looked like he still had milk on his mouth. He looks so young. I said, okay, all right. So we see she definitely likes her younger men. And there's nothing wrong with that. But he looked like he was one of her biology students. I said, what the hell? I was like, because I swear to God, I was like, yo, this is not one of her students, right? Like, because you could really get in trouble for that. But she was like, no, we met, during something. I don't remember how she said that they met, but he's an athlete and he was on some break and she was on a break. So they knew that they moved in together, but they knew that they were only going to be together just temporarily. So that was like a true, like shacking up, as they used to say, kind of situation. There was nothing like that. That was really that was interesting. So that was that seemed to me like a very physical relationship, right? And, then they went their separate ways, but she remained friends. Now he looks at her, he's like, oh no, she's my mentor and stuff like that. He just sees her as an older woman. And I feel like that's kind of embarrassing. I mean, she is, but that's kind of embarrassing. That's why I couldn't do that May December type romance, not with a gap like that. I mean, he looked like he was a good 20 years younger than her. I mean, he really did. But anyway, yeah, she insists on meeting with him, and she's telling him about her problems with Johan. And he's like, oh, I don't think you should be with someone like that. It doesn't sound like that's part of your personality or something like that. And I'm like, so why is he saying that? What's going on more with this relationship? Does she financially support him? Is that how she got broke? Like, what's going on that, he's saying that instead of saying like, oh yeah, well, I mean, you and I mean, nothing's going on between you and I don't even find you that attractive, but I mean, I can understand that the guy doesn't want us hanging out. I mean, he didn't say anything even along those lines. It was just like, well, you shouldn't be around somebody like that. And I was like, oh, is this chapter truly closed? I mean, I think in the love department it is, but is there some sort of transactional, beneficial kind of thing going on here? I don't know, because he just seemed a little too invested. So anyway, now we go over to Chris and Jamie. So Chris and Jamie, all right, now Chris is still in Alabama and Jamie's over there in Columbia crying her eyes out, talking about how, Chris is, she's supposed to come back and she's not calling me enough. And, and Chris is like telling her mama, she's like, well, she's supposed to get a job and she's over here. I gave her $1,000 and she said she had the nerve to tell me that wasn't enough money. And I was like, well, you're the one that, blessed her, quitting her job. And another thing that we learned about, or not learned, or I guess were refreshing, my memory was refreshing because I forgot that Jamie is Venezuelan, not Colombian. And remember, there was a large wave of people that left Venezuela with all that famine that was going on a few years ago. So I wonder if she was part of that. And we remember on 90 Day Fiance, with the girl, she started off on that Paradise. I can't remember her name, but the blonde hair girl with the guy from, he was like, she met him in, was it Costa Rica or something like that? But now they're living in the States. And he was from Venezuela too. Him and his brother came over. But yeah, so and also too, if I'm not mistaken, who was that other 90 Day Fiance? I can't remember that couple. The girl with the red hair, she's from Virginia. Real pretty girl too. Her hair's cut like that. White girl, and her fiance was Hispanic, and he was originally from Venezuela as well, but she met him, I think, in the Dominican Republic. So we're seeing a lot of like the Venezuelan diaspora. So and I say all of that to say that maybe it's not as easy to get a job as we think, and that's what Jamie was saying. I'm Venezuelan, so I don't know if she still has to get paperwork. Maybe she's not legally. Maybe that attorney's office job she was working was like a off the books kind of. I don't know, but it seems like her financial situation is a little bit more dire than we thought. And Jamie's like, well, telling her friend, she's like, well, I don't know why she's over there complaining about the money because, even though I got an apartment more expensive than what I was supposed to have gotten, which was wrong. She shouldn't have done that. She said, but the other thing is that, hold on. Sometimes when I wear my sweater, anyway, sorry. So she, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so Jamie shouldn't have got the apartment that was $500 a month when Chris said she could only afford $400. And, but Jamie is like, well, she's complaining about the rent, but I told her that, the agreement that we had was that I pay for the utilities and she pays the rent. And in addition to that, she keeps pressuring me about getting a job, and I've been trying to get a job, fast, since I got fired from my job. I've been trying to hurry up and accelerate the process and get a new job. But the plan was that we were going to have our own business. The plan was, we were going to put our money together, and since they didn't get that, what was it, the food truck, Chris couldn't afford it or whatever, then, the plans fell through. And now these women, I just can't believe that they got married so fast. I mean, we saw this coming. They got married right away as soon as she got to the States. They didn't even they've never even been in a room together, right? Wasn't that their first time meeting in person, if I'm not mistaken? Susan says, but Chris, I feel, is hiding something. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, Chris is definitely, listen, you're not going to tell me Chris doesn't got, listen, I just don't know what it is. They're just not spending enough time on the camera. The camera crew is not enough in Alabama for us to really get a full, view of that. But I definitely think something is up with Chris. Now, the pain medicine and the neck surgery and all of this stuff like that. So I don't know what's going on, but these two, they just shouldn't have gotten married so fast. They needed to have they should have spent time together, see how they cohabitate together. It's just too much. You're just going off of like love and ramen noodles. That's not enough. It's just not enough. But I agree with you on that one, Susan. So then let's see. Okay, so now we're back in Morocco with Nicole. So Nicole tells Mahmoud, it's not Muhammad, I'm sorry, Mahmoud. She breaks the news to Mahmoud that she's ready to leave. And she has already applied for the visa for him, but they don't know how long it's going to take. Now, I can say he was not happy about it, but he didn't seem completely dead set against moving to the States. But there was like, most of him seems like he's rooted there, and he doesn't want to, he'd rather have her integrate into his life than vice versa. And he did express some real concerns. She was holding her, oh, you talk about Chris, right? So she does express some true concerns, or he does express some true concerns about being a Muslim man in the United States. And that's a true, I mean, I can understand what he's saying about that, right? Like that, our history with the Middle East and, all these wars and stuff like that, and discrimination and stuff. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think, like how he was with the clothes, like, that's it. I'm not changing my mind. This is how I feel about the clothes or whatever. I think that she may be able to convince him to come to the States. I think she may be able to. I had a little glimmer of hope in that moment. And maybe if he's in a completely different environment, maybe he'll soften up a little bit. Because remember how, Fatima, the sister-in-law, remember how, her husband, who's Mahmoud's brother, was saying that he was free when he was living in China. He was drinking and, having a good time and stuff like that because he was in an environment where he could do that. Mahmoud is so close-minded, but he's been so boxed in. He's so young. He has zero experience in relationships. So maybe if he's in a different environment, maybe he'll loosen up a little bit. You know what I mean? Maybe. I don't know. Hope springs eternal. So I don't know. So now, the final scene, guys. Okay. The pièce de la résistance. Okay, guys. All right. Meanwhile, back on the ranch, a.k.a. Osama's family's farm, they're over there. Debbie's ass, she's so crazy. So she starts falling in love with this goddamn donkey, and she starts serenading an Irish lullaby to that fucking donkey. I was like, what is going on with her? But see, she gives, right? This is good TV. So she is so crazy. And she sounds like, she's trying to channel Judy Garland or something, hitting them show tunes. I'm sure she's got a lot of gay male friends, right? She's so eccentric. Like, she just too much. So then she's like, I just love animals. I want to get on a ride. Come to mama. That shit was hysterical. She tries to mount that fucking donkey. Next thing you know, her ass is on the ground. She takes a spill. I said, Debbie, girl, now listen, we're too old to be falling off animals. Okay, we can't be fucking around with farm animals over here in Morocco. You do not have the Moroccan healthcare insurance. Okay, what's going to happen? You break your hip, you wind up in a Moroccan nursing home, and then that's it. Because that broken hip, a lot of times that winds up leading to you not check it out. So, I mean, I said, what the hell is wrong with this woman? And then she was like, I just had to get up there, but I'm so damn podunk. I'm so podunk. I said, podunk? Shit, I haven't heard that in a while. Because I was wondering where her accent was at. Because I was like, I know Debbie's got it in her somewhere. She's got that southern woman in there, darling. But yeah, so then the last scene, she winds up talking to Osama about their situation, and they're painting and having a good time. And she's like, I just want to get some answers. I want to talk about, our future. And he was like, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that right now. This is painting. This is only for painting time only. And she was like, yeah, she is from Georgia. She is. She's from Sugar something. Because she said, well, this sure ain't Sugar Hill or wherever she's from, Georgia, before when she was talking about Morocco. But yeah, she is from Georgia. And he keeps, like dodging the question. And then she was like, but I just want to get an answer. I mean, I moved over here and your family thinks that we're going to America. We need to clear this up. And he's like, oh, what are you, crazy? You keep talking about this all the time. You crazy? You must have a mental illness. I can't believe you keep talking about this all the time. Listen, I'm going to let you know. Listen, this was the plan. You come here to America, then we get married. You come here to Morocco, we get married, I go to America and get green card. And that's it. And I said, oh shit, there you go. He just laid out the plan. He just laid out the plan. So it is in full view, right? And at the same time, I mean, I say this about like Danielle and Johan. If you come from a different situation, I mean, but Johan really is from poverty, right? Now Osama, I don't know. Is he considered to be kind of middle class? I mean, because they own a farm. I mean, they're not living in some, whatever, like some tent or something like that. I mean, they seem to have like a nice place. So he doesn't look like he's coming from poverty. I mean, he could, but it just doesn't appear that way. So, he just literally just wants to get to America. So it's different in this case where it's like, okay, you marry someone that is coming from poverty, so of course you need to elevate and go up in life and stuff like that economically. I mean, what would be the difference if he married someone locally? They would probably just be having a regular nice life, I guess, but he is dead set and hell bent on going to the United States. And it makes sense. His English is not that bad, right? His sister speaks English too. And I'm not from Morocco, so I don't know. I've had some friends and neighbors from Morocco and stuff like that. So I mean, but I never asked anyone like how many people speak English? Like how is it like like China or some other countries where you have a lot of people that speak English, or is it like English is not spoken that much there, and he was hell bent on going to America from a long time ago. So he started studying because he knew he wanted to live there. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if it was one of those type situations. But yeah, I mean, he doesn't seem like he comes from poverty or anything like that. So but she still should have realized that with the age difference being what it was, that of course there has to be something advantageous for him. Why is he just going to move in with someone in her late 60s? Red flags are beyond. It's beyond red flags, Susan. Beyond. But yeah, he said we're going to America and that's it. I said, oh, so that was the end of the episode, guys. I mean, I don't know. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, like it, share with your friends. Please do subscribe. I do owe you guys a Love After Lockup episode. I didn't do it this Saturday. We had some family stuff that was, going on, so we couldn't I had to be with the family this weekend, but we'll talk about that a little bit more. I will be back on, today is Monday, I'll be back on Thursday for Married at First Sight. I think it's gonna heat up. I got my fingers crossed it's gonna heat up this week, and I'll see you guys on Saturday again for Love After Lockup. I'll throw that other Love After Lockup episode in there in between sometime this week. It'll be late, but if you have your notifications on and you're subscribed, then you know when I'll be ready to go live. So I hope everybody's taking care, staying safe. I will be on in about 5 more minutes for the Seeking Brother Husbands review. Okay, so I hope to see you guys soon. Take care, stay safe, and chipisa lacho.